Today we are going to go through the product spreadsheet. I am going to walk you through how to build this out, what the titles, SKUs, parent SKU, category codes, attributes, and image file names. I'm just going to start with those columns. Everything else like price, weight are more for e-commerce, which I can do another video for on that. But for this case, I'm just going to talk about the product database and helping you understand how every single variation of any single product needs to be created in a spreadsheet. Now, think of the spreadsheet is essentially a database. They're one and the same, really. A database really is multiple tables connecting to each other. That's a database. Now, one way to understand how a database is going to work, or even a catalog, is to think of it as if you are walking into a warehouse. Now, a warehouse would kind of look with bins and rows and shelves, and you're going to kind of walk down, you're going to look to the right lane and the right shelf and then the right bin, and then in the bin there might be more sections within the bin. That's kind of what we're doing with our spreadsheet. Another way is through your grocery store. As you walk in the grocery store, you're going to look for a specific product. Let's call it Tabasco, right? You're looking, or that's a brand for hot sauce, right? We're going to walk into HEB and we're going to look for hot sauce. Now, hot sauce isn't in some random place. We don't have 5 different hot sauces over in the fruit section and then over in the vitamin section. No, hot sauces are going to be in the one section of the grocery store. Otherwise, there would be just chaos. So as you walk down, you're going to look for the right lane. Typically, they're numbered. We have a lane, and then we have a shelf, right? There could be a whole section. So we walk down the lane. We have a section of hot sauce, and then we have a shelf of different hot sauces, and then we have rows of the hot sauce. So you might have a Tabasco hot sauce, a brand, but there might be super hot, mild, medium hot sauces, but it's Tabasco. But the person that has to go pick it and go find it knows it's in that lane, that section, and then we have that shelf, and then it's of that shelf, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Over is the mild Tabasco hot sauce. So every individual product needs to be listed out so the computer knows where to find that particular item. Visually on a website, when I come to a website, and we're going to use the Stella tank as an example, these are all variations of the exact same product. It's that same hot sauce Tabasco product, ultra spicy large, but we're doing it visually as we walk down the aisle, right? We've got the aisle here, tops aisle Stella tanks, right? But now in bin 5, I now have to decide what color, what size. Now that's what we're building out here. Every iteration, so it's not just Stella tank, it's not one product, it's actually 10 products. The black color, the white, times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sizes. So we have to have literally 10 products for the white and the black under the extra small. Now it multiplies when I add another attribution. Now it's not here, there is no other attribution in this case, but let's just pretend I have another attribution called cloth. That would then build another layer of white extra small nylon, white extra small polyester. Every single iteration needs to be spelt out. So for example, if Stella here didn't have extra large, I wouldn't create an extra large version, or maybe it doesn't come in white extra large. I could literally just delete the white versions of extra large. What if they didn't have polyester version? Then I can delete this row because it doesn't come in polyester and it wouldn't show as an option. So if I come here and I choose, which one did I delete? I choose a white I choose white here, and let's just say there's an option, then the only option that would show me is nylon. What are SKUs? When I come to SKUs, I would want to have a SKU that somewhat closely resembles my attribute collection. In their case, they probably have an inventory system and is given it a specific number. So you might want to do that. If you've already got an inventory system, I would possibly keep consistent. The SKU would be consistent with the inventory you already have. I would recommend doing that and not creating a special one for the website. It's just going to get too confusing. Let's look at the image file name column. Your image should closely resemble, what I recommend, closely resemble your SKU. We've had folks not do that. It can be a huge mess later on if you've got 200, 500, 1,000 product images and you haven't properly named them so that it's recognizable and searchable. Say, for example, we've got demo product 0_2. That means nothing to anybody. So when I'm searching for it maybe 6 months from now and I need to delete products, if I don't have this spreadsheet, I'm out of luck. I recommend giving the file name as close as possible to that individual SKU that we've created in the last section. Again, your SKU doesn't have to match this format. It doesn't have to be exact, but it does help if you have the SKU number that's possibly related to the parent SKU and then more details, because again, every SKU needs to be individualistic to that particular product. Then when we have an image, you don't have to have every single iteration image. You don't have to do that. For example, with our tank, we have a picture of a woman in a white tank. That can be the picture that you use throughout. Even black. You don't have to, but me as a shopper, I am looking for the black version. So I kind of want to see what black looks like. And let's just assume we don't have these in here yet. I'll talk about that in a second. So what you want to do is you want to have the black version for all the black products. We're going to have the black and then the white. So when I click on black and white, I can see those variations. Now you can see here, this one doesn't change. We have multiple images. You too can have multiple images. You can create as many of these as you want. The question becomes, do you have the number of images for all the products? So let's just say you have one section of products that maybe only has one photo, or multiple photos. Let's say only one product has multiple photos and the rest of them only have one or two. I would recommend just having one or two photos then. And because from a user interface, from us programming and coding a website like this, we have to kind of know up front, how many photos do we have? So if you've only got two, then only put two. If all of the products have variations of 3 images, then do 3 images. And again, you can have, let's just say the W-1, the Stella Tank W1 is the back of it. So we have the white version, we have the black version, but then they all have what it looks like. Let's see, at the back, right? That they all have the back, but you can see they don't have the white version of the back. It's only the black version of the back. And that's fine. Every iteration, we need to know how it all relates together with that image. So I would have the SKU and in that specific variation in here, file name, so that later on you can search for it and delete it if you don't need it anymore. And also for your own sake, when you're organizing it yourself inside your drive, so that it's much, much easier to find that image later on. Okay, so now let's talk about categories. Categories, unlike attributes, every single attribute needs to be listed out. The difference with a category is I can have a single product in multiple categories. For example, I can go to Tops and Stella Tank, and you can see it is in the category called Tops, but it's also under the category called Basic Collection. I can have a single product under multiple categories. I don't recommend more than maybe 5 or 6 categories, but you can do that here. You can have one category, category 2, category 3. You can create a couple more columns to incorporate another set of categories. And I would be very, very clear, very consistent with what we're putting in a category. I'm going to show you this other section here, this other sheet, where I've got categories and subcategories. And we might have a category of collections with a subcategory called base and new, and maybe another subcategory called, I don't know, gosh, work, right? So let's just, I'm color coding it so visually you can keep it consistent and together when you go back and forth. So collections has basic, new, and work as subcategories. Pants has pockets and straights as subcategories. T-shirts has tanks and short sleeve. I can have my my tank top cannot be in the basic collection, but also the tank collection. I don't have to put the top tier because I'm putting them under basic and tanks. I don't have to have a category called t-shirts here because tanks is a subcategory of t-shirts. If I put it under tanks, if I look for t-shirts, it will show everything under t-shirts. This is the parent category, subcategory. But for the Stella tank, I need to make sure it's under tank and under basic. Another thing that I need to show you or recommend is you have drop downs like this so that you don't want to have variations of the same category. So if somebody comes in here and they put in Stella work pant, and let's say they call it pocket, let's say pocket, right? Well, guess what? Pocket is different than pockets, plural. So the computer, the database, is going to create a new category called pocket. And it'll all of a sudden have its own parent category. And you're going to go, wait, I put everything under pockets. What happened? It should be under pants. Well, because you called it pocket and we agreed on pockets. So not you, but somebody came in there and just changed it out to a different word. So I like having these drop downs so that we can just be very clear. And if I choose, let's just say I choose, so I do pockets, it's going to tell me there's something wrong. Hey, that's not in our list here. So it has some measure of checks so that we don't have misspellings that are added. So I do recommend creating some kind of drop down. I know with Google Sheets and with Excel, you can create data validation tools in here, and that's all I did. I just created a data validation and I added a rule and I just had a drop down. So it's really, really easy to do. And I do recommend having some consistency like that. And then again, you can have multiple categories, category 4, category 5, category 6. So you can have, work pants can be under, the basic and the new and office, while also being in other subcategories. Same product can be in multiple categories, but every individual needs to have its own individual attribute. Another feature that you want to consider when you are creating your spreadsheet, and let me just move this up a bit here, is what we call a custom field. Now, in this case, all of these on the right, these are probably attributed to all their products. These are just features that any of their products have. But let's just pretend that this free shipping or sustainable materials is a good example. Only applies to the tank top. What you can do over here, and I just kind of created these in here, you could have featured 1, featured 2, and I'll put 1 to the right, and this might be sustainable. This might be an option that says sustainable here. And that way I know that this particular Stella tank has these three features: the dry clean only, it's got a butterfly hem, and it's sustainable. And we would for sure put a feature. And these are, you can call it featured, you can call it custom field, whatever you want to call this, but these are not attributable to each individual product here. Remember, every single variation we have here. This applies to the whole product, the product as a whole. That particular product is dry clean only, it's got a butterfly hem, and it's sustainable. If we have a second product, let's say the pant, we could say cuffed, right? A feature might be it's cuffed, right? And then again, dry clean only or something like that. And I'll show you a live example next, and I'll show you how this kind of comes to play when you come up with featured items, or typically what we call custom fields. I wanted to also show you an example of one we did recently. It went live this year. Took a while to get this together. A lot of it had to do with preparing the product spreadsheet. They didn't have a database, they didn't have an inventory per se that we could import into the website. To backtrack for a second, you can onesie twosie add a product. I don't recommend it, maybe if you've got under 50 products, but this is an example of someone that had almost 2,000 products individually, every single iteration. Don't forget, they might only have 100, but when you tack on every iteration of the product, you could go into thousands and 2,000 plus products. You can see we have a catalog, and already we've got 2 categories. And the cool thing too about having these specific custom fields and specific attributes is you can build out a really nice filtering tool. Now in this case, for the residential, right, so this is everything, every single product that they have. Now if I click on, let's just click on, the Allison Rose Zephyr Nero Field Dimensional, right, long word here. Now this particular product is under the decorative section of material, but it also has the category under commercial. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Now we do have multiple photos here, and if I open up the image in a new tab, you'll see we have the Zephyr Allison Rose, we have the specific SKU that they use internally, and then some other modifiers and numbers in here, and mostly this is most likely the resized version of that particular image. Now we've got 2 variations of it. We've got 1, 2 in this case only. These are attributes. We've got 1 option, so that only comes in that particular size, and we have 1 particular textured. And we request a quote, so click here, I can now see more details. Now this on the right is a custom field where we have an option that says this particular product has this image, because we have a single image here. If I choose this image, if I choose this option, V2 shows. If it's a product that looks like this, V1 shows, and that's all in a custom field section. Then these are all of the categories that it belongs to: commercial, residential, decorative, stone. In this case though, we wanted it to be under one major category is decorative. That's the primary category. But I should be able to find this product under 4 other categories. So application, interior, and wall is an example of a custom field. It's not really a attribute. It's not something that every single product would have that as an option. Is it a wall? Is it interior? That's not something we wanted to concern ourselves with. That was more for a few products have this particular application. It's interior and it's wall. Then we also wanted to make sure that the manufacturer is also a category. So if I click artistic tile, I'm going to see all of the artistic tile products. You can see on the left, we've got the manufacturer artistic tile. There's 44 of them. These are all categories. When I click inside, I now have a size, right? And this, it just turns out this particular tile has only one size available to it. If they were to come back later and say a second size, we would have a second option here. We would have to create another product with its own SKU. Notice we don't see the actual SKUs here. That's an internal number. We can still, now at the top, we're using a URL that includes the title of the product for SEO purposes. We don't want to forget that part of it. If I scroll down again, we've got 2 images, and then we've got 2 styles with, again, more applications that it might go with. So let me see if I can find one that has more options. Now here's an example of one that has more options. We have the 12 by 24 and the 18 by 36. In this case, obviously the images are not going to change. It's still the same tile, no matter this, but the size, you might choose a different size, but this is a catalog. This is to show people there are different options. As we scroll down, we can see visually what it might look. So they didn't have every variation of the finish. It's a little hard. I'm assuming the finish might be a little difficult to see from a photo if it's Lepato or honed. But we do have a different version of photo so they could see it on a wall. And then again, down here, we can see the application. This particular Atelier Olive Gray, its application is floor, interior, and wall. It's not that you can choose the option, I only want floor, I only want interior. No, this product applies to all 3 of these applications. And again, we have our manufacturer in the US. And these are categories that when I click on Monarch, I'm going to see all the Monarch wood floors. Another variation of the category, visually a different version. It really is designing only one page here. We designed the manufacturer page, we designed the individual product page. This is a product page. And then we've also got basically the catalog page. So if I go to the catalog, everything is here, but I can also have the same effect. I have the same products. I see commercial here. These are all the commercial. Or I can go to a commercial page, a separate one. You can see we've got the product catalog, the category called commercial. But we have that other page we built out so that now we can see all the different manufacturers that come with the commercial design projects. Again, we've incorporated the same filtering tool on here, so it makes it really, really easy for people to find a product. This is a B2B company. They work with designers, they work with installers and construction companies. So when I come here, I can see a lot more detail and decorative. I can choose handmade. Again, it's a category. It'll refresh, and now I can see the handmade versions of a commercial tiles. I can go even further. You can see on the right, these are all the options that are under handmade that are meant for exterior. Now we're filtering down into it. So it's really, really, really important to have that spreadsheet nicely built out, organized, because honestly, all we're doing is we're importing it. And obviously, for sure we have to kind of, fix it up again, maybe refine it some. But overall, when you have 2,000 or more products, it's a necessity to have that spreadsheet. So this is a really great example of how you can really build out a wonderful catalog you can share with your vendors, that you can share with your customers. And it doesn't always have to be an e-commerce site. This is purely a catalog, and it's nicely organized. It's great for salespeople when someone says, hey, what kind of products do you have for Octo manufacture? Do you carry Octo? Well, yes, we do. So now what I can do is I can now copy paste the whole Ocado URL to my vendor in an email and say, well, yes, we do. We do keep the Octo product in stock. We do have it available. And these are the 3 products that we have available to you. And send them straight to the product catalog for that particular manufacturer. And this gives you the opportunity of showing them, yeah, we got all kinds of manufacturers here. We got the Prestige Mills. We've got the new Ravina. We've got the new Emile. And it becomes a really great sales tool. So I do recommend a catalog, if you have multiple products that you want to be able to sell to your customers, and make it really easy for your salespeople, make it really easy from a marketing standpoint to showcase the products that you have in stock and available to your clients. So hopefully this has been helpful and something that you can see visually how a product spreadsheet would work on a live website. Please do not hesitate to call, ask any questions that you might have. I should have my contact information in the description, and hopefully you can take your products, put it in the right format of a spreadsheet, and build yourself a really nice online catalog.